Child abuse and neglect. Esmeralda Tijerina, social problems. Throughout history, there has always been child abuse and neglect, according to Juarez and Ross 2014. There are four main types of child abuse that are non-accidental or accidental. Four types of child abuse and neglect. Physical abuse, where the child is being hit. Neglect, where the child's needs are not kept. Their basic needs, such as medical, housing, or nutritional. Psychological, emotional, where the child is being belittled, screamed at, or constantly abused. Sexual abuse is where the child is being raped, statutorily, or raped where they don't want to. Pornography or nude pictures. According to Ross 2004, she states in her article, in the United States of America has the highest crime rate of child abuse and neglect in the modern world and other countries of Ross. Also mentions there's a lot of missing and undocumented reports filed of child abuse and neglect in the 2004 in the United States. As of today in the United States and other countries, child abuse and neglect is a very serious social problem we face in the United States and other countries around the world. Child abuse and neglect is a very serious problem in nationally, state, and local community. Every day, the existing problem occurs the lack of non-education and ignorance. Child abuse should not be tolerated and should be very highly punished crime. No child should ever go through abuse of any kind in any manner whatsoever. Child abuse and neglect is a very sad situation and is heartbreaking to witness or go through. Mary Ellen McCormick, 1874, was the first child abuse neglect case ever recorded in the United States. An orphan since she was born after living with her adoptive mother, it is known that her childhood had scares of abused, physical, and ongoing neglect, and sadly came to the point this young child was a servant in what is known as Hell's Kitchen, according to Markle 2009. Mary Ellen testified, "Mama has been in the habit of whipping me and beating me almost every day. Mary Ellen's adoptive mother would beat her badly with a twisted whip," Markle 2009. Mary Ellen continued to testify, "I now have in my head 2 black and blue marks which were made by Mama with her whip, and a cut on the left side of my forehead which was made by a pair of scissors in Mama's hand. I never dare to speak to anyone, because if I do, I get whipped," according to Markle 2009. Concerned citizens went to the authorities and tried to report abuse, that Mary Ellen was going through cruelty to animals because there was no laws protecting young children. It is appalling that laws for animal abuse were first created instead of laws protecting children from abuse. Mary Ellen's story is compared to Precious in the newspaper article written by Markle. There were no laws protecting children from abuse. Mary Ellen's life was so hostile and filled with abuse. There were concerned citizens that were to the voice their complaint to authorities, but to their surprise, there was no laws protecting young children like Mary Ellen. The abuse of Mary Ellen suffered was so severe that laws were created to protect children from abuse. Thanks to this case of child abuse and neglect, where laws were created to protect and serve children that were abused or neglected, Markle 2009. Since Mary Ellen's case, Markle 2009 states that now there are a broad spectrum of programs, diagnostic reportings, protocols, safe and legal precautions have been developed to protect children from sexually abused children since the case of Mary Ellen. The society has helped rescue thousands of battered children, and they are created shelters. Nonprofit organizations have also helped children since Mary Ellen's story. According to Article 2009, Mary Ellen has lived a long, happy life, died in 1956 at the age of 92. Mary Ellen also had a wonderful marriage. Mary Ellen even adopted a young girl, and she was a loving mother to the child. This is a picture of Mary Ellen McCormick, first child abuse ever recorded. She was 10 when this picture of her was taken. She looks 5 because she was severely malnourished. If you take a close view to this picture, you can see the severe whip markings on her legs where she was severely whipped. Are abused and neglecting according to Leon Guerrero, 2018. She states that money and time problems may greatly affect the increase of crime rate of child abuse and neglect. In the United States, there was a surveys done, and the outcomes were that more than 80% of parents living in the modern life may have high demands on parents. In many households, both parents have work in order to make financial ends meet. Many children are left in the care of others while parents are out working long hours. Working long hours makes parents have long absences from their children, making it both hard for both parents and children. Parents have a hard time altering work and parenting time, and there's a lot of tension to be able to provide full parenting to satisfy child's basic needs. Children are not attended to their basic needs, are easily neglected by their parents unwillingly, and children suffer from lack emotional and physical abuse. Guerrero, 2018. Leon Guerrero, 126, 500,000 employees that are on active duty, that are married, and are 1.2 million dependent children within those marriages. Most people in the military must travel across seas or somewhere else, leaving their spouses and children behind. It is very difficult for those on active duty that are married and have children, and even more difficult for single parents who are also in the military taking care of their children. Military single mothers and fathers. There was a specific case written on the New York Times about a mother on active duty in her tour to Iraq. She came back to her two children, ages 10 and 4. Her 10-year-old had very bad behavioral problems at school, and that child also gained 60 pounds. And her 4-year-old hardly recognized her. She couldn't dare to put her children through another departure overseas. So she was met with modifications to be stationed somewhere else in the United States so she can care for her children. The United States military has a lot of accommodations for parents, both married or single, to respond and protect and meet the basic needs of their children. I honor and highly thank those in the military and high duty. Thank you. Child abuse and neglect is everyone's war. No child should be ever left and go through any type of abuse or neglect under any circumstance. If you suspect or know any type of child abuse or neglect, report immediately. Local authorities, 911, or Child Protective Services, CPS, in their 1-800 number, or do an online report to cps.org. Like I mentioned, this is everybody. There should be no child to go through child abuse or neglect of any kind. If you suspect or know of any, you should put your part and stop this abuse. Children are meant to be happy and healthy, because they're our generation and they're our future. Thank you.